well, lovely day, just finished work. It's about 3:30 in the afternoon. I finished work and thought, right, I'm off out. Not going to get many nice days now. End of September, weather's been pretty crap. As you may or may not have noticed, different mirrors. Rizoma mirrors. Hello there. Rizoma mirrors. Bar end mirrors. I'll try and give you a closer look a bit later on when I stop, if I remember. But they're just really good quality. Can reverse them. I mean, I've got them pointed in, which is better for filtering. Can obviously swivel them right round like so, and that'll give you a slightly better view, but obviously, you know, it's going to make you a little bit wider, an inch or two wider on each end, which is quite significant. But yeah, the triangular mirrors that I had on before, they were okay, but not very good vision wise. I mean, these aren't perfect. You still get a healthy bit of elbow, as you can maybe see, and but yeah, infinitely better and very stable. I mean, they're quite stiff to move, which is very good. So yeah, cleaned up the front of the bike, no problem. I wish I'd have put this somewhere else. My USB port, I might see if I can rewire that in somewhere else. I'm looking on eBay at the moment, and I see there's a nice new seat, one of the soft ones, which I don't know why they have a soft seat and a firm seat, but I mean, I've got quite a hard seat. It's brilliant, don't get me wrong, but after a good few miles, 250 miles, yeah, the old arse beginning to ache a bit. Well, not so much of an arse, it's more the sort of backs of the tops of my legs where there's little support. I'm hoping with a slightly softer seat, it might spread the support a little bit, you know, across the width of my arse. So I might, if it's not too expensive, see if I can buy that second hand on eBay. Looks pretty new actually. I think the chap's only had it for a very short time. He's also got a screen which is a bit bigger than the little screens, which is quite cheap at the moment because they don't look very nice. They're quite a big, they are a Yamaha screen, but instead of being that little tiny bikini fairing which kind of goes here, it's quite a bigger fairing, or a wind deflector I should say. Now I'm hoping, I think by the look of it, it bolts on really easily and quite quickly. So I'm hoping if I go on a long trip or a long journey, something like that, I can pop the screen on, and when I'm done I can obviously retake the screen off again. So there's the sort of latest update on the boat. Oh, hey, no! Wait! Hold press. 1 second. I did a video, but I haven't uploaded it because it wasn't very good, and the sound quality was pretty awful as usual. But I had it remapped. Now it was where did I go? It was S-Tech Engineering, a chap called Simon, hence the S-Tech. Now he was Basildon, I think, way. You go off the M3, can't remember. Anyway, if you put S-Tech in Google, I'm sure it'll come up. S-Tech in near Basingstoke. Fabulous guy, absolutely knew what he was talking about, filled me up with a lot of confidence, and it has just transformed the bike. I mean, I'm still riding in standard mode, more from force of habit than anything else, plus the fact it's still just a little bit smoother. But when I came out after doing the remapping, I put it straight in A mode and was just tootling along on roads, you know, like this or smaller roads, and it's transformed the smoothness of the bike. Now, I mean, he's taken the speed limiter off in 5th and 6th gear, so I can give it the full berries if I want in 5th and 6th gear, but I'm not really into that kind of blinding top end speed. I'm more into acceleration and comfort. As you probably knew about my previous post, I was considering a Triumph Speed Triple because this bike was so poor on the suspension, and I was faced with the possibility of getting Öhlins for this bike all round, which is, you know, $1,000. I mean, or change the bike over. The guy in the shop wanted to give me $6,000, and I thought, well, I could probably push 6.5 for a new bike. I know they're pretty sought after, but the changeover figure was going to be $4,000 to $4,500 by the time I'd bought a nice end exhaust, a nice new exhaust for the Triumph. So you kind of look at that money, and I've only had this bike for, well, since November. I've had it a year. I love the bike, I love the look of the bike, love the feel of the bike. It sort of does everything I want, but it was never very comfortable. Now, this is the thing I've found now, is mid-corner, if you hit a bump, before I had it remapped, it just absolutely really unsettled the bike, because the throttle response was, I don't know, it's not smooth, sort of sharp and unpredictable almost. So now with a remap, 230 quid I think it was, nice and smooth. Bloody farmers, look, pain in the arse. Why do they have to work on weekends, you know, bloody farmers? Well, old son's a bit fierce. I need a peek. Well, the other thing I've done as well to try and smoothen the whole ride down is I've been attacking the suspension myself. Well, ever since I bought this blooming bike, I've been attacking the suspension. Now, what I've done is wound all the preload back on the front almost, and left the rebound about halfway, and I've done the same with the rear. taking the rebound back to 2 rather than 4 on the spring, preload, sorry, and the rebound I've left fairly neutral, but I think it was 1 click back to make it just that little bit softer. Now I've found combination of all those things that the bike is so much smoother. Now I have found not so much, obviously with softening the suspension up, severe braking. I haven't gone right the way down to the bottom end of my forks yet, but ain't far off it, so I've still got full travel. Even if I jam the front brake on as hard as I possibly can, I've still got a little bit of suspension travel. So the little cable tie tells me on the bottom of the fork leg. And now the rear, I've found it doesn't squat, you know, under power, or the whole back end sort of kind of squats, and then you kind of get that wiggle on where it squats and the suspension is kind of bouncing as you're under hard acceleration on the rear. I haven't noticed that, so I'm altogether sort of transformed this bike really with suspension mods and remapping. So now I realise that the suspension I can kind of get almost how I like it. I'm tempted to go to I think his name's Steve Jordan, or Jordan Racing. Now they're specialists in Öhlins white power suspension basically, but they can do an initial setup with your standard suspension, and that costs 70 quid. So he'll do that with me on the bike, you know, with my weight and everything like that. So at least I know if I get that done, even if I don't like the feel of the bike, I can always change it back to the setting that I had it on. But at least I would know the correct settings for my weight on this bike. So I'm tempted to do that. They do it in my local motorbike shop and it's 100 quid, but they are just a local motorcycle shop. I'm not dissing them in any way, I'm not going to name them either, but I would rather go to a suspension specialist, and that's basically all he does is his suspension. Oh shit, I think I've taken the wrong turn. Oh no, I think I'm going to turn right, connect back. Too busy yabbering on. What's that? No, that's not it. It's here somewhere, I think. That's not it. No. Oh well. I didn't really have a plan to go anywhere. Just riding around on my lovely, beautiful XSR900. Sex on wheels.